Let's get into it. We have the first injury report, and this was tweeted out by Wendell Ferrer. Appreciate him throwing this out there onto X for us, and I'll try to get it zoomed in where everybody can see it. So 9 DMPs for the Packers. It's an estimation since today's practice was just a walkthrough. So obviously short week. They didn't actually practice. Did a walkthrough, and the team still have to give 3 injury reports before the game kicks off. Obviously, this week it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday injury reports pushed up a day in advance with the game getting flexed into Saturday night. Man, it's going to be an awesome environment in Chicago, NFC North on the line, Packers, Bears. We're banged up pretty darn bad. I know there's a lot of people writing the Packers off, although Vegas still had the Packers at 1-point favorites last I seen. We'll dive into that as we get a little closer to kickoff. But here is the full injury report, okay? We got Chris Brooks limited with the chest injury. Brenton Cox Jr. was full participation, although it's just a 21-day window. We'll see if he's activated come Saturday night. Matthew Golden, you love to see this. Full participation. That is great news for us there. Josh Jacobs with the knee/ankle did not participate or would not have participated. However, sounds like Josh Jacobs is going to be a game-time decision. He did re-aggravate those injuries there on a hit, if I understood correctly. But again, I think Josh Jacobs is probably going to give it a go Saturday night. You guys know how I feel about this. If there's any hesitation at all, hold these guys out. I would love to sweep the Bears, but I think it's more important to keep everybody, get everybody healthy down the playoff stretch, as we have a 89%, I've seen 87 to 90% chance of making the playoffs here. So obviously that's the more important aspect, as bad as we want to beat the Bears. Darian Kennard with the neck injury limited there. Marshawn Lloyd with the calf/hamstring did not participate. Reading the tea leaves kind of between the lines here, guys, it sounds like Marshawn Lloyd season is probably over. Again, this is a hamstring injury that popped up again. I don't know if it was the same hammy or not, but just kind of listening to Matt LaFleur talk about this, I kind of get the vibe that Marshawn Lloyd's done for the year. Again, you guys do your own research there. Let us know in the chat if you have anything else in that regard. Jordan Love, left shoulder, full participation. Colin Oliver, 21-day window, open hammy, limited participation. So he may be good to go this Saturday. We'll find out. As Matt LaFleur said, a lot of these are going to be game-time decisions, it sounds like. So Zach Tom with the back/knee would not have participated. Obviously, Micah Parsons is going on the IR, going to have surgery. We'll come back to Zach Tom. Micah Parsons, great news in regards to he hasn't had the surgery yet. Sounds like he's got a child on the way, so he was trying to be there for that, and then they'll have the surgery. But it sounds like Matt LaFleur expects Micah Parsons to be around the team for the rest of the season. You know, sometimes these guys will have injuries and they'll go off and do their own thing rehab-wise and be kind of unplugged from the team. I think some coaching staffs and with some players, you look at it like, okay, we don't want you to be a distraction. You focus on rehab. We'll let these other guys kind of elevate into those starting roles. And we don't want it to be too much of a distraction. With Micah, I get the vibe. And again, you guys do your own research. It sounds like he's going to be around the team. I think that's great news. Anytime he can be in the ear of his teammates with Micah, he's a physical freak, but also the way he rushes the quarterback, he's always setting moves up and he's got a strategy that he uses, right? I think it would be awesome to have him in the ear of young players like Barron Sorrell, Lucas Van Ness, hell, even Rashawn Gary, right? Him and Rashawn Gary bouncing ideas off of each other as they try to patch this thing together after losing such a key piece. Zach Tom with the back/knee would not have participated if it had been a full practice. I hate to say this, guys, but if Darian Kennard's good to go, which he was limited with the neck, I really don't like the idea of going out there without Zach Tom. I feel like the offensive line was the big talking point coming out of Denver. It really struggled once Zach Tom left the game, but get him healthy for the playoffs. Don't rush him back out there, and then we'll look it up in 2 weeks because we tried to beat the Bears, and he goes on IR. That's just my personal opinion. I want to know everybody in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. Kind of approaching it that way. And then, of course, you've got Lucas Van Ness with the foot injury, would not have participated. Hopefully he's good to go. I've seen some fans going at LVN. Guys, this is the first time he's been healthy since week 5. Healthy, right? He's still battling it. So I don't understand fans going at players like that. It don't make any sense. It's even sillier than fans trying to prod and poke player parents on Twitter as well. There's nothing positive coming out of it. I don't get it. Christian Watson, chest/shoulder, would not have participated. That's another one just like Zach Tom. If there's any hesitation at all, hold him out. Let's get him back for Baltimore. That's the way I feel about that short week. Again, he may be out there, though. It was great news that there was no significant damage there. It sounded like he's going to be kind of day to day, week to week, if you will. So that's kind of how I see that. Play it, cautious. Josh Wiley tied in with the concussion, did not participate. There's not much you can do there. He's got a clear concussion protocol. And until we see him pop up on the injury report at some point limited, I would expect he's going to be out Saturday. Short weeks never do you a favor when it comes to concussion protocol. So that's kind of how I see that, how I expect that to play out. Dontavion Wicks with the ankle did not participate. Evan Williams with the knee did not participate. Same thing. What I'm hearing with Evan Williams, it's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. So if it was just day to day, week to week, okay, see how he feels on Saturday. Matt LaFleur saying it's going to be a game time decision, but I would say hold him out if there's any hesitation at all. Make sure you got him healthy for Baltimore, or worst case scenario, make sure he's healthy there in week 18 against the Vikings, as you're probably going to be playing for a playoff spot there, right? Most likely. And then, of course, Savion Williams with the foot injury would have been limited. So maybe we're getting him back. Maybe he's finally getting healthy. We'll find out a little later in the week. So that's how I feel about the injury report. I kind of give you guys a little bit of an opinion as we roll through them. Now let's back up a little bit. What does this mean? Okay, we got 16 players listed. I tried to get AI to organize this for us from all the, SI reports and this and that and everybody that's been reporting on these in between. This is what we got. Players who did not participate or would not have participated. Josh Jacobs, right, would not have practiced. You got Marshawn Lloyd probably going to be done for the year. Michael Parsons definitely done for the year. Zach Tom, Lucas Van Ness, Christian Watson, Josh Wiley, Dontavion Wicks, Evan Williams. Those guys, as it sits right now, feels like they're going to be game time decisions, okay? So, again, anything nagging there, unless they go out on Saturday and they go, nope, feel good, man, 100%, okay, play. But if there's I've got a little something here, but I think I can give it a go. No, sit them down. That's my opinion, right? Players with limited participation, Chris Brooks, Darian Kennard, Colin Oliver, and Savion Williams. If they are all good to go, pop them out there. It sounds like there's a better chance of all those guys playing as opposed to holding them out. And then, of course, players that would have been full participation, hopefully Brenton Cox Jr. opening a 21-day window, you're good to go there. Matthew Golden's good to go. Jordan Love. Now, it is worth mentioning Jaden Reed and Javon Bullard. This is the great news, what I put great news on the thumbnail for. Jaden Reed and Javon Bullard are not on the injury report. So notice we didn't read their name. And you're going, okay, well, what's the big deal, Clay? Well, Jaden Reed left there on the final drive. He seemed to bang his knee up a little bit. And Javon Bullard left as well, if I remember correctly. Now, another one is Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs is on the injury report. However, Nate Hobbs got a little banged up. So backing up to Evan Williams in the knee, if we hold Evan Williams out to play it really, really cautious to get him ready for Baltimore or Minnesota so he's healthy for the playoffs, Javon Bullard probably going to kick back to safety. I know you guys know how I feel about that. I think he's a much better slot corner than a safety, but you'll probably have to put Bullard back at safety. And with Nate Hobbs not being on the injury report, I expect him to kick into the slot. So here's the question I want to ask the chat, and I want everybody in the comments to let me know if you're watching this video back later. Which would you rather have? You've got two choices. Keep Bullard in the slot and have Hobbs on the bench, okay, and play Zane Anderson as the safety alongside Xavier McKinney. Remember, Zane graded out an 80 last year on something like, I think it was over 100 snaps, if I remember correctly. So he played pretty good football, just struggled to stay healthy. Would you rather have Zane Anderson playing safety with Bullard in the slot, Nate Hobbs on the bench? Or would you rather have Bullard playing safety, Nate Hobbs in the slot, Zane Anderson on the bench? Because, again, Zane Anderson is a special teams guy too, so that wouldn't affect his role there. I can understand both I can understand both stances, right? I can understand both stances of, no, I'd rather have Zane at safety, keep Bull at the slot because that's his better position, and Hobbs hasn't blown up this year. However, Hobbs in his last couple of games looked pretty good when he was on the field. So maybe you put Hobbs in at slot and Bullard at safety. I want to know what you guys think about that, because I'm kind of torn. If Bullard was just as good playing safety as he is slot, which he may be this year because he's obviously taking a step forward regardless, right? So he may take a step forward playing the safety position as well. If you approach it that way, is that the better lineup, having Hobbs in the slot? And really what it comes down to is, who would you rather have on the field? This is essentially what it comes down to. Who would you rather have on the field, Nate Hobbs or Zane Anderson? That's the real question, right? And I can understand the people that want Zane Anderson out there over Hobbs. And I can understand the folks that say, well, if you put Hobbs in the slot, he's going to play at a higher level because that's what he's better at rather than playing outside corner. And it seems like Carrington is going to stay out there, Carrington Valentine. So let us know. And Fishy thing says, I would do both. You'll probably see that, right? You'll probably see at some point or another Bullard playing some safety. You'll probably see Zane playing some safety. And you'll also see Hobbs on the field too, with Hobbs playing 10 snaps that last game. So we'll kind of see how that unfolds. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this back later. How do you feel about this injury report? What combination would you like to see? Also, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you know when we go live at any point throughout the day, weeks, and months here in the future.